fun stuff coming up over the next few weeks. A couple stouts. We got some beers from Colorado, but you'll have to tune in and see. So until next time, we're not going anywhere for a while.
Let's have another beer.
All right. That's a wrap.
Inspired by the adventures of our nurses, therapists, and techs, A Beer with Atlas is the only healthcare traveling, craft beer drinking podcast.
Okay, so if you're familiar with us at all, you know we like craft beer and we like craft breweries. There's one thing that maybe you don't know, or maybe you do. A lot of our travelers like the exact same thing. About, Dolan, how many years ago?
Man, when did you start?
How many years ago?
That's a tough question. Let's say this. Over 200 episodes
Over 200 episodes.
Yeah, over 200 episodes ago. And we do one per week. And we are religious about one per week.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's over 4 years.
I think we've only missed like maybe 2 weeks ever.
Like on purpose, right?
On purpose.
Like we did it, we skipped because of Christmas or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have got beers from all of you from all across the country. Other agencies have sent us beers. Employees here internally have brought us beers. And we generally pick one per week and we talk about it. I do some brewery research. Brian does some you never know what you're going to get kind of research.
Yeah.
And then Dolan makes us sound really, really good.
I try.
On the knobs there.
I try.
So, okay, so Dolan wanted us to look at the past year and pick our favorite episodes.
Yeah, this is the best of Beer with Atlas, A Beer with Atlas 2022.
Okay.
So we had to really think about this because depending on how many Wednesdays are in 2022, that's one thing I didn't look at that. It could be 52, 53 episodes maybe. Yeah, what was your favorite episode of the year?
Who's going to go? You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Yeah, take it away.
I'll go first. So my favorite episode of 2022 was episode number 187, Black is All the Colors at Once, from Lawrence Beer Company. We talked about the Mighty Mighty Boss Tone. We talked about the beer and Lawrence Beer Company, which is my favorite brewery in Lawrence, Kansas. When I go to a Jayhawk game every year, we go to Lawrence Beer Company. I've been to both of their locations. I actually like the one out that's more, it's not really the suburbs, but it's the remote location.
Okay.
It's not the one just off of Mass Street downtown. The one off of Mass Street downtown has fantastic food, but the other one is just pretty much just the beer.
Okay.
But yeah, we talked about the Boss Tones, that was the first time I ever saw them, was in Lawrence, Kansas. And then Brian found that they had another beer called King Hippo, and so we talked about Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and it was awesome. I've actually entered that in. I get to choose a couple of beers every year to enter in the Telly Awards for Best Podcast, and that was one of them.
Probably grab one of those
That's
up
it
there.
right here.
Yeah.
This
the
was
silver
Dolan's
one, yeah.
episode. Right? This was Dolan's.
The Grateful Red episode, yeah. That was from 2021.
2021, episode 170, Grateful Red, yeah.
Yeah.
Award-winning beer podcast.
Award-winning.
right.
Who would have ever thought?
I have that thing at my house in my office.
Yes,
right
There
now.
you go.
Yeah, so that was my favorite episode, Black is All the Colors at Once, from Lawrence Beer Company.
That's cool. I'll go next.
Okay.
So we always say that one of the things we do this podcast for is, because travelers like the beers and they send us beers, but also when you drink the beers, you have conversation, right? So one of the things that I like doing at Atlas and on the brand team is the meet and greets. So every time I go on a meet and greet, I make it a point to bring a beer back from the meet and greet, and then we'll try it and then, kind of talk about the meet and greet or whatever. This time I didn't have to try so hard to bring the beer back. One of the nurses, and in fact, actually one of the nurses' spouses brought me the beer, and then I had already gotten a beer like the day before. So I brought those back, and I'm talking about the Hop Chowder and the False Promises IPA tasting of Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah.
Episode 193.
Yep, episode 193. So Tori Campbell, who is a spouse of one of our travelers who has traveled with Misty Lawhorn, one of our recruiters, for a really long time, and he's into craft beer music or whatever. It's like we're almost the same person, except he's older.
It's absolutely true, by the way.
Yeah,
Yes,
we're both into music. There was a lot of conversation there, as it should be when you're drinking beers, right?
That's right.
So I brought the 2 IPAs back, and he said that was his favorite IPA from the area. I said False Promises was my favorite IPA from the area. I had you guys blind taste test it, and then
like
pick
the
one.
Soda Wars of the 80s.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We did
Yeah.
that.
The Pepsi Challenge.
Yeah. And you guys blind taste tested it, and you guys ended up picking the IPA that I really loved.
That's true.
Yeah.
Which is fun. Some commenters have some different ideas.
lot, yeah.
Tori obviously has a different idea.
Yeah.
But it was fun for me because it kind of validated my IPA palate a little bit.
Yeah, your taste
Right.
buds.
Yeah, it was one of those things just like, wow, I'm finally picking good beer. Like, this is
Yeah.
something that I'm getting good at, or I've gotten good at. So
Yeah.
in the beer journey, when we first started this podcast, like I didn't know, Blue Moon was my favorite craft beer, and technically still craft.
Well, that's not true. A Kona. That Kona beer.
So that came after.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that was your second
That was
favorite,
my
the
second
Kona?
favorite.
I remember a little bit there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so that episode definitely. First off, the Arizona meet and greet is awesome. We're gonna be
Right.
doing that again, so be looking for that. But yeah, that episode for sure was a lot of fun for me.
All right. I had a hard time.
Okay.
'Cause these are all my little babies. I spent a lot of time
You
on
spend a
these things.
lot of
Researching,
time
yeah.
on it. That is
So,
true.
first of all, I was like, okay, stars on the ceiling. Great blueberry beer. We had a guest, which we had never really had before, like
Yeah.
a live guest in the mix.
A musician who has played with one of your favorite musicians.
Yes,
Yeah,
of
he
all
made
time.
a collab
Yes.
with the Avett Brothers.
Yes. So I was like, okay, that one, nah. The Obrun
Oh,
episode
the
with
Obrun.
Kyle, and he showed up.
Yes.
Because I always like to be humbled, and he knows way more than I'll ever know.
His beer knowledge is off the charts.
And so is his beard.
Well,
Let's be honest.
yes.
That's probably where he houses all that
Yeah.
knowledge. But I'm going to go with the Fremont episode. The B-bomb.
Yeah.
really?
The Rambo episode.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
because of a couple things, the beer was amazing. I
Yeah.
love a barrel-aged stout. I'm always going to like that. But for me, it was the thread of the research. So thinking like, okay, where did this name come from?
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, we have a town named Fremont near us.
John
okay.
C. Fremont.
And then to see it actually trace all the way to this neighborhood in Seattle where the brewery's at and be the same dude
Yeah.
and find out all this other information about him.
Yeah.
And then just to have it all tied together, it was like you couldn't have scripted it any better for me. I just like researching the things that we talk about because it's stuff I'm generally interested in. I would like to know about it. Things I've thought, like why is this there? Or what is a flying fish? Or whatever, you know?
Right.
Why are these things these way? And so being able to find that out and then trace it back to us and the beer and have fun in the way that was my favorite episode.
I've learned a lot of things from this podcast too.
Right.
Like, I mean, even things from like, where did scarecrows come from to, where did Winnie the Pooh, how did he, like
It's all good stuff
so
for
awesome.
like at the brewery when you're talking,
Yeah.
just having conversation. You go,
Exactly.
you know, a little nugget, just a little bit, just
Yeah.
enough to like impress your friends for a couple minutes.
That stayed true. Like that's part of Brian's introduction to every one of our podcasts. Is we want these to feel like you're having this conversation with your friends with a couple of beers.
Yeah. And I don't know about your guys' friends, but my friends, I want to show off. I want to be the smart one. And they're real trivia guys. So I got to dig deep to know something different. So that's kind of what these are for.
So then why do we end the episode the way that we end every time?
Well, yeah.
I want to find what episode was that when you told the story about your dad.
It might have been dad beers.
It might have been.
Probably was
I'm
one of
not
the
sure,
dad
but
beers.
it was basically the gist of it is he came to see a rehearsal that my band was doing. It was the summertime, and it was a big thunderstorm outside, and the way he was going to go home in Lincoln had flooded out, so he had to come back, and we were still doing our practicing in the band, and he showed up soaking wet like a cat that had been thrown in a lake, and basically said, "I'm not going anywhere for a while. Let's have another beer." And he had his cooler with him, and we kind of grabbed that and ran with it. And it's a nice thing to say at the end of an episode. It brings us to the next week, and it's not always the beer of the episode. At least I sneak in one or two during the week between episodes, but
one or two.
It's
Right.
just the spirit of the thing, like don't stop learning and having fun with your friends and your family. And that's kind of what it means for me.
I think that's what it, to me too, is coming together with you guys and drink these beers and talking about them, but then also talking about whatever research comes up and learning from that too. You don't have to be a beer person to listen to this podcast.
Oh, for sure
at
not.
all.
Because none of us are really, when it comes down to it.
We talk about the brewery, we talk about the style of beer, but then it really is other research, it's other stuff around it. Why is it named this? What is this about? Where else can you go with that? And we always seem to find a fun story out of that.
And the thing too that we've learned through all these episodes is a majority of breweries are family friendly too.
Absolutely.
So I mean, you don't even have to go to a brewery to drink beer necessarily. You can eat the food. You can eat the food truck or eat food from the food truck outside,
or just go to the trivia night.
Just go to the trivia night or whatever. And some of them have craft sodas or craft seltzers, and we've explored a lot.
Yeah, quite a few. And most all of them welcome kids and dogs and families. And yeah, you're right. You can play bingo. There's any number of things you can do when you're out at a brewery. And so get out there and try that. I think that's one of the things I hope if you stumble across this for the first time, I hope you try that out and maybe listen to an episode or two of us. So, all right, well, until then.
I'm out.
I am too. You're almost
we
there.
can't cheers empty glasses.
I guess we're going to have
another beer.
Thank you for listening to A Beer with Atlas. Special thanks to our brand team for producing the show. Each episode of A Beer with Atlas is powered by Atlas MedStaff, an industry leader in travel healthcare staffing.